Hello and welcome to day 7 of our JUNEwary challenge 2025. Today we are starting our new piece. Our new piece is called Autumn Mist and it's by Stephen Dunstone, as our first piece was. I am really excited about teaching you this piece because as long as I've been doing these January challenges with you, I have wanted to teach a piece in the way that I'm about to do this with you. And this is one of the first ones where I've really thought, do you know what? It just works brilliantly to do it in this way. So we are going to start with the final 4 bars that appear on the page for this piece. I say that because if you'll notice at the end, it says DS al fine. So it's not the final 4 bars of the whole piece of music, but it's the final 4 bars we need to learn before we would then go back to the segno, DS, and reach the fine later. And I want to do this for the whole piece. We're going to build it up from this final point and build into it so that by the time we play the beginning notes, which are the easiest notes of the whole piece, this part now will be second nature to you. And this part now is one of the more complex lines. So I think it's really nice to actually start here, and then tomorrow when we put the line before it in, as you come into this part, you'll go, oh yes, I know what I'm doing. You'll be able to relax into it. And also it will really help with our flow and our feelings of the piece flowing from one section to the other, because that is one thing that can happen when we do a piece like this, is that we can kind of struggle still to pull the whole thing together as one continuous thing. So doing it this way is a really nice way of building that in to every time you play. So we're starting with this bar 33. We have 2 flats. We've got B flat and E flat. All the rest of my notes are currently natural. So at this point in time, we are in B flat major. Okay, I'll play it for you first, then we'll do some talking and get through to the real nub of it. Here it is what it sounds like. I'm going to take it steady. Okay, so first thing to maybe notice, although I'm going to draw on this later, is how, a bit like with our squirrels piece, there's some crossing over of hands, and sometimes the left hand is actually playing the melody note while the right hand's playing something lower. And we've got some nice chord shapes as well to get used to and to do. So what I actually want to focus in first of all is what is happening chord wise. So we're just going to look at the bass. Well, the bottom line starts with a bass clef, but you'll see it switches to treble and back to bass, because that line actually gets shared between the hands. So ignoring what's happening up top for a moment, we have a B, F, B, one of those, the octave and the 5th, B, F, B in the left, and then the right hand is carrying on from this B, putting the notes that would make an arpeggio on. So D and F, and then a thumb on a B. So we've got that shape there. Maybe just give that a little squeeze. Think about how you put those on as well. Maybe practice coming off again. Maybe shake your hands out and come back and think, right, my thumbs are both on B. Both finger 2s are on an F. I can open that up. And then I've got finger 3 in the top and finger 4 on my bass. Or you can practice going left and then right. Or you could practice putting them all on at once. Even if that isn't how the piece will end up being occurring, that's a really good skill to open up both hands and have all the notes land at the same time. So we have this pattern here. Give that a little squeeze and feel that shape. Because the next bar, if we take it down but keep the shape, we have the F version of that. So this time it's FCF and ACF, but it's the same idea. It's completing that arpeggio in the top hand. And again, if we think about it from the bottom note up, we will end up going like this, and that. And do you see how my hand's sort of already a bit more claw-like? Doesn't have that lovely relaxed, just opening up and being there thing that I really like. So We were on the B, give that a squeeze, we move down to the F, give that a squeeze, and then in the third bar, we come back to the B, the one that we started on. And then to finish, our left hand is going to jump up. It's going to play the same strings our right hand was just on, a D, F and B, but an octave higher, so the same notes, not the same strings. And finish off that lovely B chord that we're doing there, okay? Now if we play these notes, so again, little roll of the shoulder, letting those drop away from our ears, thinking about that approach and opening up, we're going to play it now. So we're going to go from there, down to the black, back to the B, and then let our left hand come over and do that final tariam. So with the squiggle next to it, it arpeggiates it. So we have D, F, B, tariam. So we're going to go boom, 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 and see if we can play through. So left hand's ready, right hand's ready. I will count you in with 1 and 2 and 3 and, okay? 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Down to the black, back to the B, left hand crossing over, tariam. Okay, can we do that again? So maybe a little bit of a shake, just straighten up that head a little bit, think about the approach, thumbs going on the same note, opening up. Okay, we'll start with the left. So 1 and 2 and 3 and. Down to the black. And back up. Crossing over. There we go. See if you can do that, especially that last one. So we're on the B, the last 2 bars, where the left hand jumps over. See if you can land that on there without having to find the strings and find the notes with your eyes. All of our focal lengths are different, and with glasses and contacts and variofocals and everything, it can be really hard to see something happening right by our cheek. But just a tiny glance maybe. And maybe all you need to clock, all you need to capture with your eye is where the black string is, because then you know what that shape feels like. The black string is the sort of lowest one of note that we can sort of go, right, finger 2's going on there, and I can open up that shape. Okay, so that's good to practice and work through. Then we have to fit what else is going on. So in the top line of this, we have a D and an F, which is the right hand. So that would be over these first notes. But then our right hand's coming down to answer that chord. So maybe let's ignore the crotchets up there and just play our white notes. So we're going to have the D and the F over this left hand. And then our right hand's going down to do that answering that it just did, to do the top bit of the arpeggio. So just do that first bar. So you're just going to play the D and the F in the top part and all of what's written in the lower part, which is shared between the hands. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, good job. Okay, then if we look at the next bar, so again, we're just going to ignore the crotchet at the end for the moment. We've got the C and the E in the right hand. Our left hand is down on the F shape down there. And again, our right hand is going to come down in order to finish off that arpeggio. So C and E against our F, C, F. Ready? Second bar of this, ready, count in. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so let's put those 2 bars together, ignoring those crotchets in that top part. So just the D and F with what's happening in the lower line, and then the C and E with what's happening in the lower line. So my left hand is ready on B, F, B. My top hand is ready on the D and the F, but my right hand is also going to move down once it's done that to finish that arpeggio shape. And I'm going to try and move straight into my next bar. So if I just think about that for a second, I've got D and F. It's going to come down to this shape here, and then I'm coming back to C and E. So that's quite handy just to do that little move. D and F, down to that D, F, B, and then up a little bit to the C and the E. And then I'm coming all the way down to my black and red down here. Okay, so a little bit of jumping around for that hand, but it all correlates, it all joins up, it all makes sense. Ready? Beginning of that line, but ignoring these crotchet notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Left hand ready and top. Okay, can we do that one more time? Okay. D and F in the top, B, F, B in the bass. Okay, so we're still thinking about left hand going where it goes next and all of that. Ready? Through 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, and if we just take that one bit further on, the next bar, the right hand's going to play B and D, and our left hand is back to the B, F, B. And the left hand comes down, sorry, the right hand comes down, top hand, and the left hand jumps over, like we practiced before. So the right hand has D and F, stepping down one to C and E, stepping down one to B and D. But it also fills in our arpeggio shapes below in the interim, in the gaps in between. So then we do have these crotchets, these ones we've been ignoring. And that's where our left hand comes in. Our left hand, which has just headed up, so it's doing an upward motion, is going to nip over and play the D. It's going to go down for the black F, nip over for the A and C, and then go back for the B, F, B. And then we have our final chord. Okay, it's really fun, and when you nail it, it's such a nice sort of sense of achievement. It really is. So let's just do a bit of the left hand. So we've got B, F, B. So the left hand starts on that lower part, B, F, B, then it jumps to play that crotchet in the top part. We're going down to F, C, F. Jumping to play the crotchet in the top part, A and C, and back to our B, F, B. And jumping over for that final chord. Ta-da-yum. Okay, so maybe we could just place it for a minute. Let's try B, F, B in the left, give it a squeeze. Coming up for the D, quite a long way up. Then down to the black, red, black. Give that a squeeze. Up to the thumb on the red, up here, A and C, and then back to our B, F, B. And then second finger on the black as we do that ta-da-yum. Okay, then if we try playing that in speed again, just the left. So we're looking at both parts, but it's the left hand that we're playing. 1 and 2 and 3 and. 1 and 2. Okay, let's try that again. Actually feel that space. There is space. Feel the space between when it has to come up and when it's going back down. There is actually breathing room there. Okay, so once more, left hand part, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Before it comes in again. Well done. Then it's a matter of pulling both of those together. So we have the top hand playing, or the right hand playing the D and the F over this. I'm going to just talk you through it. Then the right hand comes down to finish the arpeggio, and our left hand plays that note there. Then we're back to where you expect it to be. Right hand comes down, left hand jumps over. Okay, so it's the left hand is playing with the finger 2 of that right hand. And then back up to B and D and back to B, F, B. And the left hand jumps over and does a tadium. Okay, so that's you talking you through it. Let's give it a go. And then you'll want to do quite a bit of practice on this and then join the play along video to see if you've got the timing lining up. The thing to do is be aware that there is something happening on every quaver of this bar, on every 8th note in this bar. We're in 3/4, so it's 3 main beats to the bar. That's why I'm counting 1 and 2 and 3 and. So starting at the beginning of this line, take our time, just kind of this swapping around of the hands. If you work hard on this and nail this, the rest of the piece will feel like a walk in the park. And that's why we're starting with this today, so that you can have the longest attention on this as we learn the whole piece. So don't worry if it feels hard today. It is hard. It took me a while to get used to it. And then tomorrow it won't feel as hard, or it'll feel a tiny bit easier. Or if not tomorrow, in a couple of days' time it will, as you keep knuckling down at it. So here we go. Beginning of that line, nice and steady, just thinking about which hand goes where. 1 and 2 and 3 and. You can also practice that in really small segments, so you could just do the first bar and a touch. So you could go and just check that you can do that without a pause. So I've got ready on there, but I'm only playing the first note as I play the first note there. Okay, so if we did that together, just so that you have a feel of that. So the beginning, but just the first bar plus a bit. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and. Good. So you could do that multiple times. It just takes the pressure off having to carry on, but really works on that timing, on that feel of, yes, it is the next beat and there shouldn't be any pause. Yeah. Sometimes these vertical bar lines act a bit like a door, a bit like a as if it was a gate, and we sort of think, oh, we can just pause for a second, but actually it just keeps through. It's just to subdivide it and help us keep track of where we are. Okay, join me on the play along video once you're starting to feel like you can put it together. Take your time with it first and then join me on the play along video. All right, well done.